Okay, so as we continue, we are truly delighted and honored to have with us today's representatives from PAREF Woodrose, a school deeply committed to forming students of strong character and virtue. So this afternoon, they will be sharing their inspiring journey and experiences in being a school of character. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to first, Mrs. Michelle Manzano, Ms. Ashley Aquino, and Mrs. Gina Garcia.
So good afternoon and welcome to this session on our School of Character journey. To be honest, we thought that we would just have like half a crowd. We were also eager to hear about the journey of Southridge. But nevertheless, I'm here. I'm Michelle Manzano, and I'm one of the three who will present about our School of Character journey. So for the benefit of probably 2/3 of those in the audience who do not know about Woodrose, allow us to play a short informational video.
Actually, in Woodrose, no. Each and every day you spent with your classmates was fun. It's a small, intimate group of girls that simply shared the same interests, likes, and dislikes.
The Woodrose formation, particularly the holistic formation, actually is what makes it distinctive.
When I come back to Woodrose, you always feel that it is your second home.
For us, we feel that Woodrose has given them the tools to be able to face life.
I stayed on because I like the mission of Woodrose, which is integral formation.
It's important to us in a school is academic preparation and character formation.
It was a safe and secure place to actually become what you want to become.
You appreciate learning all these values from grade 1, like virtue of the month and all.
Its holistic formation encompasses not only the academic preparation, but also the physical, spiritual, mental formation, and more so the character formation.
Because a person is supposed to develop not partially, not by portions, but completely.
I think that at one point, the parent-child relationship is very complicated. And I find that Woodrose has a very unique way of dealing with that.
Each child is assigned a mentor, and she gets to talk to the mentor 2 times a month. And what does she talk about? Academics, how she is adjusting with her classmates, with the teachers, how she is at home.
The parent collaboration is actually a big thing for us. We get to know more of our child's strengths, weaknesses.
So wherever they go, whether they are still here or when they get out of the school, we always see them doing their best.
Growing up here in Woodrose, I grew up to be confident, I grew up to be passionate, I grew up to be disciplined, and these are the values that I bring with me to succeed in the things that I do now.
It's actually after several years, after you graduate, you realize that Woodrose makes you the person you are today.
It's really the collaboration between the school and the home that makes it unique and that makes it special. And thus, we can actually happily say that, yes, we did make a right decision in enrolling our daughter to Woodrose.
If you're the type of parent who want to put your child in a school where the school will really get to know your child's thoughts and feelings and pay attention to them carefully, this is why Woodrose exists.
For me, Woodrose is the best environment to learn and to love God.
Here in Woodrose, we are committed in educating young women to cultivate greatness of mind, heart, and character so that they can be of better service to God and others. I love Woodrose.
I love Woodrose.
So we do love Woodrose, and thank you for this opportunity to share our School of Character journey. So our outline for today, first we will have a brief prehistory, so to speak, followed by a discussion to be led by Ashley Aquino about the 11 Principles Framework and the School of Character Accreditation. Finally, we will have a brief workshop to be led by Ms. Gina Garcia. So how it started. So I hope the video gave you a bit of a glimpse of how Woodrose is, and we know that the prehistory will kind of put you in a situation where, wow, Woodrose is already kind of old. Now we're the oldest PAREF school. Oops, sorry. Okay, so Woodrose started in 1977, and it has been committed to character education ever since we started as the first PAREF school in the country. So like all other PAREF schools, our educational philosophy is inspired by the teachings of Saint Josemaria Escriva on two main ideas: integral education and parents as the primary character educators of their children, which Father Sass mentioned earlier. So you can see here our campus in 1977, which was a house in Quezon City. And then later on, we moved to our present location here in Muntinlupa. So this is where Woodrose comes in as the parent's partner in the character education of the students. Woodrose has always been clear on what she has set out to do, to nurture the total development of each of her students, not just to be good in academics, but that they also turn out to be persons with good character or to become virtuous persons. So core values were defined and were recently updated. It serves as a guiding principles to shape all of our policies, practices, and character education program. So that includes class advisory, mentoring, service learning, outreach, co-curricular and extracurricular activities such as clubs, organizations, and varsities. And not to be forgotten, we have our continuing education programs for faculty and staff, as well as our parent formation programs. So this slide represents how we ensure that there is community involvement. So we constantly engage parents, students, and staff. So all stakeholders are represented and have a voice in shaping our character education program. So curriculum integration is likewise a feature where values and virtues are applied and integrated into the curriculum in a natural way, depending on the subject matter. So in 2011, to learn from the best, the Woodrose Personal Formation Council attended an overseas character education conference with no less than Dr. Thomas Licona, father of character education. So after meeting Dr. Licona, this was in Singapore, a plan for us to bring him to Woodrose was made. So in 2011, we did just that. We organized a character education conference with Dr. Licona, and this conference was open to the public. So this was held at the AIM Conference Center in Makati. So Dr. Licona gave talks to parents and trained teachers for consistent practices. He also likewise met with students. This was the time when the 11 principles of character were first introduced to Woodrose. This is a photo of Dr. Licona with our then executive director, Ms. Delia Udani, and other members of the school administration. So we continued our collaboration with Dr. Licona through the years and strengthened our formation programs with the end goal of becoming a school of character. We used tools such as the Smart and Good High Schools report and the Respect and Responsibility School Culture Survey. So this helped strengthen our formation programs even more alongside our educational philosophy. So in 2017, we started doing our self-evaluation of the 11 principles of character. And as you can see from the image on the right, we actually started compiling documents. At the time, they were real documents, not just online documents yet. So the goal to become an accredited school of character persisted even during the pandemic. Woodrose continued its personal formation programs and added the interim core value of adaptability. The senior high school level was able to invite Dr. Licona to meet with our management committee, as shown in this photo, after which Dr. Licona gave a talk to a class of senior high school students on the topic Raising Kind Kids. However, the School of Character accreditation really took off when we appointed a point person in the person of our next facilitator, Ms. Ashley Aquino, who will explain the actual accreditation process. So I will turn the floor over now to Ms. Ashley Aquino, who, by the way, is an alumna of our school.
Thank you, Ms. Manzano. So yes, I am an alumna of Woodrose, and so I feel extra pressure because I'm supposed to be the product of this education that is supposed to build character aside from academic excellence. So I'll be speaking about the 11 principles of effective character formation, not as an expert, but this was the tool that we used in our push to have this push for an accreditation as a school of character. So the 11 Principles Framework is used by character.org. This is the tool that they use as well to assess schools that go for the accreditation. And it's a research-based framework. It's just one framework. Earlier, JP and Mr. Pete Pacioric, or Coach, spoke about the PRIME framework. This is another framework. And this framework is specifically for schools. It has more principles. It has 11 as opposed to the 7 or 8 from the PRIME framework. And so the reasoning behind this type of framework is that these 11 principles are supposed to be the foundation for a culture of character. So it's not a program, it's not a specific method, it's not a curriculum, it's the basis for a way of life where schools of character form students. So I'll go through the principles very, very quickly. So effective character education, what does it look like? So effective schools of character promote core values. That's the first principle. They define character to include thinking, feeling, and doing. They use a comprehensive approach to character education. It creates a caring community where people feel that they belong. An effective character education provides students with opportunities for moral action. It offers a meaningful and challenging academic curriculum. It fosters students' self-motivation. So this is similar to the intrinsic motivation that Coach Pete talked about earlier. It engages staff as a learning community. It fosters shared leadership. It engages families and community members as partners. And it regularly assesses the culture and climate of the school. So these 11 principles are what is supposed to be embedded in all the practices of the life of a school. And if you want to be accredited as a school of character, you're supposed to be able to show that you've properly implemented at least 8 of these 11 principles. And what do we mean by properly implementing these principles? Character.org has a tool that uses success criteria. It's a rating scale, right? From 1 to 4. The minimum rating of 3 is needed, so 3 or higher is considered adequate. So if you hit a rating of 3 or 4, that means you're able to adequately implement the principle, and if you have a rating of 3 or higher in 8 or more, then you're able to receive the award. So this is actually what the rating scale looks like. So what does a good rating entail? It means that practices are implemented with some depth and regularity. So you're supposed to be able to show examples of activities or programs or initiatives that align with the 11 principles. And under the 11 principles are key indicators. What are those indicators? I'll go through them later on. You're supposed to also show that the practices and initiatives that you have is guided by either data analysis, the 11 principles key indicators, and or other relevant literature. You're supposed to show some evidence, either qualitative or quantitative, supporting that there are positive outcomes associated with the practices or initiatives for character education. And lastly, there should be a majority of stakeholders impacted positively by the initiatives of the school for character education. So that's what a good rating looks like. This was just an example. This was the rating guide that we used. And if you look to the left, the last column on the left, or sorry, the right-hand side, those are the ratings that we gave ourselves. So the process involves the school first evaluating itself. And then you invite a team of accreditors to rate the school. And so we had our students, our parents, our staff rate each of the 11 principles. And it was interesting because we had for all the 11 principles, we rated ourselves 3 or higher. And so it felt, okay, if that's how we see ourselves, and that's our self-rating, we have to be able to back that up. So these are the key indicators. So if you notice, for each of the 11 principles, and there are only 3 in this slide, there are key indicators which expound on what the principles are. And we use those to further describe what each of the 11 principles are supposed to look like. So the application process is pretty straightforward, right? So you submit the application, and we did this last February of 2023. And it took us the whole year to prepare for that application. After you submit the application, the team of accreditors come in, and this is about a month after you submit the application. They do interviews, they study the evidence, they also do classroom observations, and then they write a report, okay? The report that summarizes what they saw during the school visit. And then they submit that report to Dr. Licona, who approves the accreditation. And then if the application is approved, if it's successful, then you're elevated as a school of character, which fortunately is what happened to us. And so the whole process took how many months? 2, 3. We had the accreditors come on March 27, 2023, and 3 days later we received the happy news that our application was successful. But we were not recognized until about a month after, here locally and then internationally in November 2023. So it looks simple, but there was a lot of work that went into it. So I'm going to give you now the behind the scenes look into what that process looked like. We started 2 years before the actual application process, preparing already. And the first thing that we did was we made sure that it was part of the roadmap, that there was a School of Character coordinator that was appointed specifically to make sure that this accreditation would move forward. And I was lucky enough to be the one that was appointed, but I wasn't the only one working on it. It took the whole school really to make this a success for us. And then after that, we had to craft and disseminate the 11 Principles Self-Assessment Survey Tool. So this is basically just the scoring guide that I showed you earlier, but in the form of a Google form. Because that year, 2021, was the second year of the pandemic. And for those of you who are not Filipinos in our country, our lockdown lasted 2 years. So we were online for 2 whole years. And of course, everything had to be done online, including the self-survey or the self-assessment that we had to do. So that was in September of 2021. A month later, we collected and consolidated the survey responses. This is what the survey looked like. So it's basically just the 11 principles broken down into each of the key indicators per principle. And then we asked whoever was taking the survey to rate the extent of the successful implementation of each of those key indicators. So we gave this out to students, to our teachers, to our parents, and even to our non-teaching staff to make sure that all stakeholders had a voice in this. So yeah, if you look at the rating, the self-rating, we rated ourselves pretty highly, which is a happy problem, I suppose. For us, we had a School of Character core team, and when we saw this, we were like, okay, if this is how we rate ourselves, we better be able to prove that we actually do adequately implement the 11 principles. So it was a challenge, and we were up for it, I'd like to think. Okay, so as I mentioned, we had a core group. This is very important. So there is a School of Character coordinator, but you need to have a group of team leaders who can help the School of Character coordinator coordinate, because this is a whole school effort, and you need people who are able to reach out to the different units and stakeholders. And then we analyzed the results of the self-survey. We looked at it vis-a-vis the practices that we had. So, okay, we rated ourselves very highly in principle number 1, which is about promoting core values. We rated ourselves very highly in principle number 10, which is about engaging families in character building efforts. So, is that actually true? If we look at the things that we're doing, are those ratings justified? So we had to analyze that. We had to, after that, of course, collect evidence, documentary evidence, to show that those things are being done in our school. Luckily, we were also at this time preparing for our PAASCU accreditation. So for those of you who are not Filipinos, PAASCU stands for the Philippine Accrediting Association for Schools, Colleges, and Universities. So this is an accrediting body that is supposed to vet the quality education of schools universities and colleges. So we had them coming in, and at first it seemed like, okay, we're doing that and we're doing the School of Character accreditation. Are we killing ourselves by doing both at the same time? But actually, it really helped us because we were already collecting the evidence, so we might as well go for both. And again, this was when we were still online, so all the documents were soft copies. Actually, that facilitated a lot for us. In February, we had a meeting with Mr. Manrentoy to make sure that we were on track, that we were doing things correctly. And when the school year opened in August, in preparation, we had an orientation for faculty and staff. And then when the students came in, we had an orientation about School of Character and the push for accreditation with the parents and the students. The idea being that the whole school knew that that school year we were going to go for the accreditation. Everyone had to be rowing in the same direction. Everyone had to be on the same page. We also made sure to do benchmarking visits to local schools of character. So the two schools that we visited were the Holy Angel University. Miss Lorna, I see you. And they were very welcoming, and we were so impressed, and we felt positive pressure to live up to the standards that we saw, that we experienced in their school. We also went to Reedley International School, which is also a school of character. And so that really helped us to have a sense of, okay, this is what a school of character should look and feel like, what it should be like, to put ourselves in the shoes of an outsider coming in to a school of character. But we also made sure to do internal observations. So we went around our own school, okay, to look at the different levels, grade school, junior high school, and senior high school, and all the different units as well, to really see what is going on. It's one thing to collect the evidence. It's another to really walk the halls and peep into the classrooms and sometimes even overhear conversations that happen in the hallways, to have a sense of what school life is like. And then in December, we started writing the self-study report. So the self-study report is what serves as your application for the School of Character accreditation. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So it took us about a month to put that together. And finally, in February 27, 2023, we submitted the report to CEP Philippines, Character Education Partnership Philippines, in the form of a soft copy still. So what is the self-study report that serves as the application for the accreditation? It's a narrative that details your school's successful implementation of the 11 principles. So it is basically about a 50-page document, and it details, number one, who the school is. So you're supposed to give a basic profile of the school, an overview of the school's history, its educational philosophy, and you go through all the 11 principles, narrating how your school is implementing that specific principle. And in between the narration, you will have some of the evidence, okay, so in the form of photos, in the form of tables, but you're also able to submit an appendix. So if you have evidence that won't fit the layout, you can append that at the end of the document. And you actually also are supposed to submit portfolio evidence. So aside from the 50-page report, we had to submit 11 binders full of evidence for each of the 11 principles. And the trick to this for us was that we wrote this narrative as a whole school. So it wasn't just me writing this. We actually had all the stakeholders or representatives of the stakeholders. So here you see our teachers. We also have non-teaching staff there. The students are there. Some parents are there. I think you see in his white cassock our school chaplain involved as well. And what we did was we broke down the report into 11, the 11 principles, and assigned each group one principal. So each group was a mix of different stakeholders. And we had them go through a structured reflection and evaluation activity. So the focus was the School of Character, and each of the teams or the groups were supposed to be guided by one of the 11 principles with the key indicators, and they're supposed to be able to provide evidence that these key indicators are being implemented in our school. So these were the prompts that we gave them. So we asked each team, each group, to reflect on how the school is implementing the principle that was assigned to them. And they're supposed to base their reflections on the key indicators under each principle. And then, having reflected on this, we asked them to write a short narrative between 280 to 500 words based on their reflections, and they used a graphic organizer that we provided for them to be able to structure that narrative. And of course, the last thing that we asked them was to attach evidence, the best evidence that they can find to support their narrative. All of this was done with laptops because all the documents that we had were soft copies. And then after they wrote their narratives, after each group came up with their narrative for each of the 11 principles, we asked them to report it to the plenary group. So we said each report should only take 3 to 5 minutes, and that the slides that they present should include the narrative that has the minimum and maximum number of words. They're supposed to show evidence to accompany their narrative, and that they should also be open to questions or comments from the big group. So the idea there was that everyone knew what the other groups were presenting or were concerned about, so that we could all hear from the different perspectives as well. So that facilitated so much already because it meant that there wasn't just one person writing the whole report. It was everyone involved, and everyone was able to see all the different ways that the school was able to implement the 11 principles. And so after that, it was very easy. We just had to do some final editing and proofreading, and we were able to submit the document to CEP Philippines. In March, in preparation for the accreditation, we started to make sure that we had all the little details, the schedules, all the logistical elements in place for the visit of the accreditors. March 27, they came to school. It was a whole day affair. And then 3 days later, we were told that our application was successful. So it was, as I said, a whole day visit. They came in at 8:30, they left at 4:15, and we prepared a special place for them. This was going to be their holding room. We included a campus tour. We made sure that the classrooms and other areas of the school were accessible so that they can conduct observations. They also went through, so the self-study report we printed out, and the binders where the evidence for each of the principles we also prepared in the holding room. So they had some time to look through the evidence, the physical evidence of the 11 principles. And then lastly, they conducted interviews with students, with our staff, with our parents, and with the administration or the school leadership. So this was the accrediting team that came with our management committee. So at the end of the visit, the team talks with the management committee. They give them a brief summary of what they've observed and what they were able to see in the short visit. But of course, we had to wait for the official green flag to signal that our application was successful. We were told that it would take a month for the approval or for the award to be given, but it was only after 3 days, so we were quite surprised. It was a happy surprise for us. We got the certificate from Mr. Rentoy, signed by Dr. Thomas Licona, and it was a very proud moment for all of us. So in April, we were recognized as a School of Character at the conference in UANP with Dr. Michelle Borba. We were also very fortunate because 2023 was the 30th year anniversary of character.org, and so they had an international forum in Washington, D.C., and we were invited, and there also we were presented with the award. Okay, so having given you a behind-the-scenes look, allow me to share with you some tips. In case you're thinking of going for this accreditation, which I do actually encourage you to go for. Number one would be that you share this vision of being a school of character with everyone in your school. So right now, I'm sure you're filled with lots of ideas and a lot of exciting insights that you would like to share with your colleagues. When you go back to your schools on Monday, maybe you can share that with the people around you. Be a champion of character in your own school. And then, of course, make sure that this is a whole school effort. So I urge you to, when you look at your programs, when you look at your initiatives and activities, do that as a group. That there's not just one or two or three or maybe an isolated group of people that's looking at the programs. It's everyone. Because the idea behind this is that you are reflecting as a whole school. So it's not so much that you want to be accredited or recognized as a school of character, but that you reflect on these 11 principles and you, as a school, try to look at how you're doing things and seeing, do the things that we do align with these core principles? Are these 11 principles embedded in the way that we live as an educational community? And then lastly, I would suggest that you identify promising practices that your school already has. So start with your strengths. I'm sure right now, after going through the 11 principles, you're thinking of some of the programs that you already have, and you're identifying, oh, we have this thing that we do that aligns with principle number 10 already. Start with that. You don't have to go and find 11 different programs. You can start with just one program. And you can actually start applying for a Promising Practice Award. So I'll take this opportunity to plug this in. I am not part of character.org. I'm not being paid by character.org, but they are opening their Promising Practices Award for all schools. And if you think you have a promising practice for character education that's already in place in your schools, I actually encourage you to apply for this award. So you just go to character.org and you fill out a form. You basically will just describe what that practice is that your school is doing, how it's aligned to one of the core values, and how it's positively impacted your school. And then you submit it. It's all online. The deadline for this year is the 28th of March. So you still have time. And it doesn't take much. And I think if you do that, you already are kickstarting that process of pushing for a School of Character accreditation. And just to share, we did this as well. So aside from applying to be a School of Character, we also wanted to apply for a Promising Practices Award. And the promising practice that we decided to apply, or we decided to submit for application, was our Parent Formation Program. Because in Woodrose, we see parents as the primary character educators of students. And so we submitted an application, it was successful, and we were invited to present that promising practice in the 35th anniversary Character.org International Forum. And so we were thrilled to be there and very proud to talk about this thing that all para school has, which is collaboration between the home and the school. And with that, I will segue to the next part of our presentation, which is our Parent Formation Program. And I'll invite on stage Tita Gina Garcia, who is the Parent Formation Coordinator of our school, to talk about parent formation in Woodrose.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're still around? Okay. So I'm just here to share a bit of how we participated in the School of Character. No? So Ashley's constant follow-up kept us on our toes and on track in completing all the requirements of the accreditation. So when, not if, but when you start applying for your School of Character accreditation, make sure you have someone who can put you on track, someone who is focused and someone who has a good timeline on what to do. No? So it was an honor, of course, for our office to have our program presented as a promising practice, no, for the Promising Practice Award. So parent formation, this is not new to us here in PAREF, and I'm sure in the parent schools it's the same. No? The home is the first school of character, and parents are the primary character educators of their children. So with this, Woodrose shares with all PAREF schools this, we can say, trailblazing philosophy. At that time when we brought our daughters to school, it's like, wow, how nice. I know, I understand. I can meet my daughter's teachers. My teachers understand my daughter. My teachers listen to me. I listen to my teachers. I have to do that too, no? So anyway, this is a trailblazing philosophy, and I think over the years, many other schools are trying to do the same, but we focus really on character education and character formation, which begins at home. So anyway, what Woodrose, our office oversees the development, the organization, and the implementation of programs and activities that promote positive parent involvement. So we have a lot of activities for parents. And for the parent education courses, we are fortunate to partner with EduChild Foundation, a member of the International Federation for Family Development. And for the basic curriculum content, as well as for the current issues contents, we rely on ladies and gentlemen who share the same philosophy, background, and mission as our school has. So crucial to this operation is the participation and support of our parent leaders, our dear parent coordinators. They are truly our co-formators. We look after them. We ask them to understand where we're coming from. There's a lot of dialogue, a lot of small meetings with them. And little by little, together, we really help each other, help each family, so that each family is accompanied one family at a time, each student. And our aim is each parent, no, is accompanied one parent at a time. So our parent coordinators are truly our co-formators. The team of accreditors interviewed our parents and were pleased to witness parents who understood and were committed to share in building women of good character. They understood their roles in the home and their roles in the school. So at this point, may I ask you to please distribute the worksheets? But in the interest of time, we will not have the workshop anymore, but we will share with you the worksheets that we filled out. No? Our office focused on principle number 10. There are 11 principles. So our focus was on families and the community are integral partners in the school's character initiative. So we will just share with you the papers that we filled up, no? All of us, the teams had to fill up several papers on the points, and we really had to think about where we were going. So what we will do, what you can just do now, no, is to take a look at the form And what you will do is just do it, fill it up at home, so you get the feel of what it was, what it will be like, no, when you apply for your School of Character accreditation. It is really just one way for you to work and to see the self-reflection that is and that goes behind the self-evaluation. So there, no? The principle number 10, if you have your papers already, families and the community are integral partners in the school's character initiative. And so there were points there, the families are involved in the school's character initiative. So families are actively involved. And then you see, is this present in your school? Is this present? Parents assume active character education leadership roles, are aware of and supportive of character education. Parents are recruited to volunteer frequently. School welcomes parents, no? So how is our school involving families in character education, etc., etc.? So I don't need to read that through because I think you can do that on your own. Okay. So these are just samples, no, of families involved in the school's character initiative, examples of effective implementation practices. So I would like to emphasize the last point there. No? Parents and caregivers actively volunteer and participate in classroom and school-wide activities and events beyond fundraising activities, because sometimes the participation of parents is limited to activities and not actually limited to and not actually brought out to community building. What we want is to have a community of families who share the same interest in building men and women of character. In our case, women of character. Ashley, you have something to finish? So that's all. We were supposed to have a workshop, but I think there's not enough time. Thank you.
So we hope that our story inspires you. It was an honor, really, to be able to share our journey of being a School of Character with you. And so whatever you take away from this, even if it's just this exercise that you take home with you, we really do hope that it makes a positive impact in your school. So, and even if you don't actually go for the accreditation, as long as maybe you just take a moment to reflect and to go through the 11 principles, I think that's already a big, big step for your schools. So again, thank you very much for listening, and we hope you have a good rest of the day.
So thank you so much, Mrs. Manzano, Mrs. Garcia, and Ms. Aquino, for that insightful and inspiring presentation. Your experiences and reflections on being a school of character have deeply inspired us to dream, pursue, and become as well schools of character. So if you have questions, please visit PAREF Woodrose's website where they can be contacted for your inquiries. As a token for our appreciation, we would like to present a certificate of appreciation to PAREF Woodrose for their invaluable contribution to this event. May we invite them and our Southridge Student Council Treasurer Brian and Grade 11 Batch Rep Basti to present the token. Let's give them another round of applause. And may we invite PAREF Woodrose again and Father Esteban. If it's okay, we can have a group photo. You can stand here on front, everyone seated. And then we will have the photographer here. So we will take a photo of everyone here in the auditorium. So you can stay there.